5 creepy urban legends. The first, the ring and the grave. It was in Poland. After 6 years of marriage, Martin decided that his fiancée named Michalina was pretty enough. He found a solution to this. He stunned his girlfriend, wrapped his hands and feet with duct tape, packed them in a box from under the TV and took them to a remote forest. There he buried the girl and went straight to the nearest ATM, where he took all the money from her card. Fortunately for the girl, her husband had one advantage. He was really well versed in jewelry, and during the engagement gave her a ring with a real large diamond. With this stone, the girl cut the tape with which she was tied hand and foot. After that, she made a hole in the box with a diamond and climbed to the surface through the mud and branches, with which the groom had prudently covered the grave. So, girls, when you get engaged, be sure to demand a larger diamond ring, especially if your fiancé keeps a box from under the TV for some reason. The second legend, the treacherous wife. Sharia and Bimal lived in different cities for almost the entire first year of their married life. After the reunion, the young wife said that she wanted to please her husband with a massage with a special oil. She took him to the bathroom. Everything was ready there. Twilight, rose petals, candles everywhere. The gullible Bimal was probably already sitting in the bathroom when he felt that the oil with which he was rubbed smelled suspiciously of gasoline, and realized that the candles were not needed at all for romance. When the fire broke out, the woman jumped out of the bathroom and closed the door behind her. If he had been more attentive, he might have noticed that the fire alarm was turned off. She thought of everything, but for some reason the option of just getting a divorce did not occur to her. Share Hotel, of course, was convicted of premeditated murder. The third legend, the Mad Doctor. Glenn Tucker was a terrible plastic surgeon and, it seems, even took some pleasure in disfiguring people. The treatment of one patient who complained to him about spasms in his arm ended with amputation. When a whole mountain of complaints and lawsuits accumulated, news came about the tragic death of a surgeon who allegedly drowned while boating. A year later, he was discovered in Florida, where by that time he had also managed to cripple most of the patients. After this story thundered all over America, Tucker said, "And if I feel cornered and realize that my life is no longer worth living, I will leave, but not alone." He kept his word. A few years later, he died, having previously destroyed his wife and even his cat. The fourth legend, body in the pool. One child went for a swim in the pool and saw that something large was floating near the surface of the water. It turned out to be the body of a wanted woman. By this time, her body had been swimming in this pool for 3 whole days in the neighborhood with unsuspecting and carefree kids swimming. Perhaps they even saw her, but they took a swimmer who is great at holding her breath. The fluctuation of the water can create the illusion of movement. And the most amazing thing is that during these 3 days, 2 different inspectors checked the water in the pool. Fifth, collector. Thanks to Hollywood, we all know what a crazy killer neighbor should look like. Quiet, polite, very educated and not at all suspicious. His entire apartment was crammed with human-sized dolls. This in itself is already quite strange, but it turned out to be much worse. Under dresses with frills and white curls, the operatives found 29 mummified bodies of girls. He was an avid collector, only he collected not stamps and coins, but dead human bodies that he dug up in the cemetery of his city. Moreover, he did not drag home all the bodies in a row. In some cases, he hid the grave, and if something did not suit him, he buried it back. So if your significant other or parents are unhappy with the way you carry all sorts of pieces of iron home, or spend all the money on handbags, remind them that your little hobby. Far from the worst option. I have a friend. Once, when we were sitting at my house, I finally got Natasha to talk. She told me why she didn't want to touch magic. Further from the words of a friend, the story happened when I was in school. By the way, everything was fine with us, there were no conflicts, we were friends with big companies, we never chose outcasts, but everything changed when she came. Alice was very beautiful. Long snow-white hair, big blue eyes and a blinding smile. There was something flowing and frightening about her at the same time. That's where it all started. The children began to quarrel over trifles. The boys, as if enchanted, followed Alice. She quickly became the best among her classmates. It made me very angry, but I didn't want to go alone against everyone. What is most interesting, the beauty was lonely. She didn't make friends with anyone, was unsociable and didn't talk much. At recess, she went to the toilet and immediately went home after school. Her parents had never been to meetings, the teachers didn't seem to notice. One day, as the most combative among my friends, I decided to follow Alice. Not knowing why, I just pulled. Tashka volunteered with me, also not from the timid 10. In general, we gathered on Tuesday. We have been waiting all day and have been waiting for the call as never before. Alice, as usual, packed her bag and hurriedly headed for the emergency stairs. There are fewer people there. We went after her. Fortunately, she didn't notice us, so we are following her down the street. Dasha is smiling so mockingly. Our princess lives somewhere far away. We started calling her that and quite into the subject. Suddenly Alice turned into an alley. A blue dress flashed with a rotten fence. But there's an abandonment, whispered the frightened Dasha. Quiet, you'll ruin everything, I said. We entered a dark building without losing sight of the graceful silhouette. Suddenly my friend stood on a creaking board. Alice froze and slowly returned. My impression. It's beyond words. It's not Alice, it was something else. She's changed. His eyes were glowing red, and his face was frozen with a crema of anger. I caught him on the spot. Dasha screamed.
Yes, Junior, I came to visit. What are you afraid of? The repair is bad.
Alice laughed.
Let's go have some tea.
The monster grimaced.
Thank you for coming.
With these words, she attacked Dasha.
Was there someone with you?
No, I was alone. That was her last sentence. I wasn't trying to hide. I rushed to the exit. A terrible scream rang out behind him. I don't remember how I got home. Mom said I had fainted and she wanted to call an ambulance, but Grandma talked her out of it. The fact is that my grandmother is a healer. She used to live in the forest. She brought me back to normal and asked me what to hide, and I told her everything. Grandma was seriously alarmed. She said this. It was a demon, not a man. He had to hide, so he pretended to be a girl. If you see Alice again, cross her and everything will be fine. Many years have passed since then. I have not seen my classmate again. Dasha could not be found.